Dr. Bankhead here at the Struggle Inn with Who the F Was My Friend, Part 4. So, when my mother was dying, she said to me that she had a vision that I was in the desert for 40 years. And I knew what that meant. That meant 40 years of struggle. And I said, please don't put that on me. Please don't put that on me. Well, fortunately, before she died, I had already gone through 23 years of hell that apparently was part of what the witches, the covens, the warlocks, whomever, had determined that they were going to put on me. They wanted me to have difficulty on my jobs. They wanted me to have difficulty finding jobs. They wanted me not to have a satisfactory love life. And they wanted me to fail at any attempts to have a child. And as you will be able to see as I go along telling this story, they were successful at every effort. My jobs were very difficult. My relationships were poor, and I was unable to have a child. So let me pick up where I left off and resume the story, which was that having moved to the country and intent on finding a position that uh, pleased me, I wound up uh, doing volunteer management at a local hospital. I attempted to find a volunteer management position when I was in the small little county in another state, and the character of that small little town in another state was such that the black people behaved as if they still believed they were enslaved, and the European YT people acted as though they were still the slave masters. There was only one professional job held by a black person in the hospital. They had one nurse, and the other black professionals in that particular county were educators. And at that point in time, I did not hold a teaching certificate. And while there was rumors about the up and coming Teach for America programs, the state that I was in did not recognize uncertified teachers, people who might have had degrees that would otherwise qualify them to be in the classroom, weren't recognized. And there were a lot of hurdles to leap over to get a teaching job in that community. So essentially, there were no professional jobs other than maybe a substitute teaching job. So I was a substitute teacher. Now the funny thing about that, this was after 2000. We're talking about a new century. And the funny thing about that is when I went to apply for the substitute teaching positions, the application had a place where it was required that you get the signature of the administrator of the location in which you were desiring to teach. So I interpreted that to mean that I should get the signature of the principal of the school where I was hoping to work. So, in that vein, I went to the only high school in that county because that was where I had desired to go. And when I asked the secretaries if I could get the signature of the principal, they said they weren't aware of that. They looked at the application, they saw what it said, and they said to me, maybe this means you should get the signature from the superintendent of schools because we've never had anyone bring an application and ask us to do that before. So I said, okay. Reading is fundamental and critical thinking is a skill. And it said, get the signature of the administrator of the location where you were planning on working. But nevertheless, I went to the school board. Now, fortunately, my dad had befriended the one black superintendent or assistant superintendent or something along those lines. So I was aware of her and she was aware of me, so I contacted her and made an appointment and saw her in her office. And when she inquired as to the reason for my visit, I explained that I was looking to get the signature of an administrator so that I could qualify to submit the application for substitute teaching. And she explained to me that that meant to get the signature of the principal of the school where I was hoping to work. And I said, that's exactly what I thought. I said, but when I went to the school, they said to me they weren't used to anyone bringing applications and asking for that. And the superintendent said to me, oh, well, just go to one of the schools that you attend. And then she said, oh, that's right, you're not from around here. 2000, I'm telling you, this was after 2000. So I just wasn't able to find a job there. And I was very grateful that the principal, which opened the door for me to return to the city from whence I was originally from, so that I could regain getting a job in what appeared to me to be a more modern uh, environment. Anyway, to resume the story, I was teaching at the parochial school, and a woman came desiring to volunteer. The volunteer was working in the correctional institution, and she always desired to be a teacher. So she wanted to volunteer to see if it would be a good fit for her. And she volunteered in my classroom where we kept our personal items in the closet of the classroom. And the closet was behind the teacher's desk, which if the teacher was there, no one would have access to, but if the teacher wasn't there, everyone could get access to. And she was aware of that. Excuse me. Anyway, I never took my purse into the school. Um, some of the students were questionable in their behaviors, and I suspected that could be a temptation. So I always kept my purse in the car, only bringing my car keys and some small change in case I wanted to purchase something. Any event, after volunteering for a few days, it uh, and recognizing that the woman was interested in teaching, I saw a notice in the city paper that the Teach for America type program that was in the city was having a open house. And so I took the article for the volunteer to see, thinking that she might be interested in going to this Teach for America um, type event. So she said she'd go if I go with her. So I said, okay, I'll go. I wasn't trying to get into the Teach for America program at that juncture, But I did tell her I would go with her. So I went with her, and we listened to them talk about the program and the requirements and what they were looking for, et cetera, et cetera. So we left, and it was the thought that we were going to apply for well, that she was going to apply for the program. I might. I wasn't sure. So when we got back to the school, what happened was someone broke into the closet and stole some money out of her purse. She was disenchanted, decided she didn't want to be a teacher, and she volunteered no more. Well, things were getting a little rocky at the school, and the friendship was being strained by the antics, let us just say. And I felt that it was be in my best interest to get another job. And at that point in time, since I was already in the classroom, the Teach for America type opportunity was offering a job and a teaching certificate and a master's in education. So I thought I would avail myself of all of those prospects. And as it turned out, I was accepted into the Teach for America type program. I was able to leave the parochial school and begin my career as a special education teacher in the city school system. And there occurred a situation where the principal witch came to me and said, "Oh, your father did such a great job with those Christmas cards he designed. And I gave them out to the teachers for Christmas because I thought they were so good." So when I heard that, I was a little bit disturbed because I had an agreement with the husband that she would not go through my stuff until I had a chance to get down there and go through it myself. And when I shared with my mom that the cards had been distributed, my mom was very upset about it. So I spoke to the husband and I expressed my dissatisfaction with the situation at hand. And I asked him to retrieve the remainder of those cards and return them to me so I could give them to my mother to ease her state of mind. And after that, we ceased communicating for probably a good 6 years. So it was around 2012, and I began to ease away from religiosity and churches. I had been to a number of different churches, a number of different denominations, and I'm not going to go into that here. But it was around 20, well, actually, it was around 2010, actually, and I began to really delve into spiritualism and spirituality and what it meant to be spiritual and etc., etc. So, as a part of that, I came across the Ho'oponopono. And the Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian, uh, I don't know what to call it actually. But anyway, it's what you do a thing. That's all I can think of. You do a thing. It's like I um I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Something like that. So I set out to send a letter to some of my friends that we were having a rocky situation or none at all. But they were people that I felt near and dear to and I missed. So I still believed in our friendship. And as far as I was concerned, there were no hard feelings. So I sent a Ho'oponopono letter to the witch. And I indicated that there was no requirement for a response because I didn't want anyone to feel that if I was saying, I was sorry, I was wrong, please forgive me, I love you, that they could either accept that or not. I wasn't going to twist anyone's arms to say, you have to befriend me again. So I was pleasantly surprised when she responded agreeably that we could pick up where we left off and be friends again. So she had since left the parochial school system, gone into the public school system, was a principal in the public school system, and I'm not real sure what happened, but she wound up in a wrongful termination suit and won it and wound up teaching or doing some instructional type assisting at another church affiliated school in another state. So I don't know what occurred at that school. I do know that she was reporting that there were some issues with the head instructor at the school, and she was supposed to be assisting that instructor, the head instructor, and subsequently she had a car incident or something, and something happened to her back or something, and she had to file for disability, and she left that job, and she stayed home and was there with her grandchildren. So it occurred to me that I had gone through so many problems. My car broke down. My mom died. Another car broke down. The house was in disrepair. I was abused in the school system. I had to leave the job. I wound up in a doing tax office management, and then in a big box retail store. Um, and I was very dissatisfied with everything. I was depressed, I was despondent, I was anxious. I had PTSD from my childhood abuse and the work abuse and the relationship abuse. All of the abuse was taking its toll on me. And I felt that I was at the end of my rope. I was very distraught. I had to take mortgages out on a house that was mortgage free in order to get the things done I needed to get done because I wasn't earning enough money to cover those things. And things seemed to be going from bad to worse. In any event, the reality is that I was unable to hold on to the house, and the house went up for sale. I sold the house to avoid the foreclosure that was imminent, and I wound up being homeless for 1, 2, 3, 6, around, was it 6 years? I'm not able to do math at this present time. Anyway, it was around 4 years, I believe. I was homeless. And a friend of mine from grade school opened her home to me. I did ask the witch about the possibility of staying in her 5-bedroom, fully furnished basement home valued at over $1 million in the pristine neighborhoods of the city. But she deflected that she was probably going to have to house relatives and that she wasn't going to be able to do it for me, unfortunately. She did make an effort to assist me with finding something affordable in the area.